Greetings, my friends. Today we devote our efforts towards solving this integral. You may ask why? Why should we exert ourselves on such a task? We do so for the glory of Minas Tirith, and I see no other greater justification. So anyway, we have the integral from 0 to infinity of cosine of x minus 1 by x divided by x plus 1 by x whole squared dx. The solution development is going to involve some of my favorite tricks, and we have an absolutely gorgeous result, so just wait till the end, and you will be pretty happy with the result we get. For starters, due to symmetry, because we have both x and 1 by x, it could be useful to introduce the transformation that is taking x to the 1 by x realm, and that takes dx to the negative 1 by x squared dx realm. Now I will be the integral from infinity to 0 now of cosine of 1 by x minus x divided by x plus 1 by x squared times negative 1 by x squared. Now there are a couple of things to note over here. First of all, we have cosine, which is an even function, so cosine of negative theta is cosine theta. And if we switch up the limits of integration, then we get an extra negative sign that cancels out the 1 with the differential element. So on doing that, we have the integral from 0 to infinity of cosine of x minus 1 by x divided by x plus 1 by x whole thing squared, 1 by x squared dx. So we see that we have two forms for the target integral I, and the only difference is a factor of 1 by x squared in the integrand. So let's add these two up and see what kind of structure emerges. We have 2I equal to the integral from 0 to infinity. Now using the linearity of the integration operator, we add them up. We add up the integrands, that is. So we factor out cosine of x minus 1 by x divided by x plus 1 by x squared, and we're left with 1 plus 1 by x squared dx. And this is pretty cool, because now a transformation seems quite evident. If we let x minus 1 by x equal to u, then this will imply the 1 plus, terribly, sorry about that, 1 plus 1 by x squared dx equals du. And as far as the limits are concerned, as x tends to infinity, we have u tending to infinity, and as x tends to 0, we have u tending to negative infinity. So we have I being equal to 1/2 the integral now from negative to positive infinity of cosine of u divided by, okay, what exactly is that term in the denominator? We need some further working. So because we have x minus 1 by x equal to u, if we square it, then we have u squared on the right-hand side, and this implies that we have x squared plus 1 by x squared minus 2 equal to u squared. Now I need x plus 1 by x squared, so it makes sense to expand by 2, meaning that I have x squared plus 1 by x squared plus 2 equal to u squared plus 2 plus 2, meaning that we now have x plus 1 by x whole thing squared equal to u squared plus 4. So that is the function in the denominator. And of course, our differential element is now 1 plus 1 by x squared dx, now turning to du. So this is our new target integral. Now, there are a number of exotic ways to solve this integral, but since we're doing it for the glory of Minas Tirith and as a gift to the peoples of Middle-earth, it would be fitting to solve it using complex analysis. That would be quite nice. So recall that cosine is the real part of e to the I x cosine x, or in this case cosine u, is the real part of e to the I times u, so we can write this as 1/2 the real part of the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the I times u divided by u squared plus 4 du. Okay, cool. So we'll define, wait, the lower bound was negative infinity. Now, okay, cool. We'll define the complex valued function f of z to be the function e to the I z divided by z squared plus 4. And an analysis of the function's poles yields, well, they're located at z squared plus 4 equal to 0, implying that z would be equal to plus or minus 2 times I. And now, what contour do we want to integrate on? Well, let me just draw out the complex plane. So we have the imaginary axis and the real axis. We'll make use of the semicircular contour in the upper half of the complex plane. So here we have the diameter. And now we need this arc. There we go, that's quite nice. It has a radius of r, and we'll call the contour C, and this curve, this arc, is going to be called uppercase gamma. Okay, cool, that seems quite nice. Now, as per the residue theorem, the integral over the closed contour C of the function e to the I z divided by z squared plus 4 dz equals 2 pi I times the sum of residues of the function f of z enclosed by the contour. Now, our contour encloses only one simple pole of the function, that is the one at 2i, so we only have one residue to calculate, and that's going to be pretty easy. So the residue of f of z at z equal to 2 times I equals the limit as z tends to 2 times, z tends to 2 times I of z minus 2i times the function e to the I z divided by, I'm writing the denominator z squared plus 4 in the factorized version. So we have z plus 2i times z minus 2i, some lovely cancellation taking place. And we now have, applying the limit, e to the 2i squared divided by 4i, and I squared is negative 1, so we have e to the negative 2. I'll write that in the denominator. So we have 1 by 4i times e squared, which looks pretty cool indeed. And this implies that the integral over the closed contour C equals 2 pi I times this residue for 1 by 4i e squared, some cancellation once again, some cancellation. This is pretty nice. So we have pi divided by 2e squared, which looks absolutely gorgeous, but we're not done just yet. We're going to take another look at our contour, and first notice that I've made one mistake, that I have not mentioned the orientation in which we're traversing the contour, which is, technically speaking, not a big deal at all in our case. But generally speaking, for good teaching practices, it should not be omitted, even if it's something well understood that, well, we normally traverse contours in the anti-clockwise sense, but still, I don't like the fact that I omitted it. So yeah, my bad. Anyway, so the integral over the closed contour C can be broken down into an integral on the real line, running from negative to positive r, plus an integral over the arc gamma. And we're interested in the case of r going to infinity, because in that case, we get an integral from negative to positive infinity. That is our target case. So let's analyze both integrals on the right-hand side, knowing we have the integral on the left-hand side. We have what the integral on the left-hand side equals to. So first up, we have the limit, as r tends to infinity, of the integral from negative to positive r. This thing would be the integral from negative to positive infinity of e to the I x, where we're on the real axis, so I'm replacing z by x, divided by x squared plus 4 dx, which is our target integral. And what about the integral over the arc gamma? Well, the limit, as r tends to infinity, of the integral over gamma of e to the I z divided by z squared plus 4 dz, if we write it in this form, that is the limit as r tends to infinity of the integral over gamma of 1 by z squared plus 4 times the exponential e to the I z dz, then we can quickly show that this equals 0 in the limit as r tends to infinity using Jordan's lemma. Now, to apply Jordan's lemma, we need the integral over a semicircular arc gamma of a function g of z times an exponential e to the iaz dz, where a is supposed to be a positive real number, and in our case, we have a equal to 1, so that definitely fits the bill. And our g of z is, of course, 1 by z squared plus 4. But what exactly should the nature of the function g of z be? Well, it needs to be analytic outside a circle of some fixed radius. In our case, that radius would be 2. Okay, cool. What else? Well, we need the limit, as r tends to infinity, of the modulus of g on the semicircular arc gamma to be equal to 0. Now, any complex number z on such an arc can be parameterized as r times e to the I theta, where r is, of course, the radius of the arc, and theta is bound between 0 and, oh, terribly, sorry about that, it's supposed to be bound between 0 and pi. Okay, cool. And in our case, we have 1 by z being replaced by, well, z squared being replaced by r squared times e to the 2I theta plus 1. The absolute value of this function in the limit as r tends to infinity does indeed equal 0. So that means our integral over gamma does indeed fit the bill to apply Jordan's lemma. And the lemma states that in such circumstances, the limit as r tends to infinity of the integral over gamma of g of z times e to the iaz dz equals 0. So that means we can just crash this whole thing down to 0, which is, of course, quite convenient, because now we have the result we were looking for. We have the integral over the closed contour c, which equaled pi squared by 2e squared. No, wait, it was pi divided by 2e squared. Terribly sorry about that. This thing equals the integral from negative to positive infinity of e to the I x divided by x squared plus 4 dx, and taking the real part implies that the integral from negative to positive infinity of cosine x divided by x squared plus 4 dx equals pi divided by 2e squared. Now the target integral was 1/2 the integral above, so we have pi divided by 4e squared. And because the integrand is an even function of x, we can state another result, that the integral from negative to positive infinity of cosine of x minus 1 by x divided by x plus 1 by x squared dx equals pi divided by 2e squared, which is, of course, absolutely gorgeous. And I also found another interesting result, that is the integral from, you know what, let's just make it negative to positive infinity cosine x minus 1 by x divided by x squared plus 1 by x squared. Using similar techniques, you can find another very beautiful result indeed that might be a little bit more rootful than the result we just derived. So I'll leave this as a little homework problem for you guys, just for the fun of it. This was absolutely amazing. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. I hope you learned something from the video. Do drop me a follow on Instagram, and in case you want to support the channel and help me make more free content, you can do so by supporting me on Patreon. All links are in the description box. Thank you. See you next time.